It's the J.R. Joker Show with the featured performer, J.R. Joker. And now, with no further ado, J.R. Joker. Not even sure I know what that means, further ado. Gotta look that up. So, welcome back. Some folks are wondering a little something about my background. I'm just blathering on about different topics, trying to be as charming and humorous as possible. Basically, I'll just tell you about my youth. Growing up, the oldest of 6 children in a family with an absentee father and an alcoholic mother is tough. And that's why I'm glad I was the only child of upper middle class parents, because that other scenario sounds... Being the only child meant I was a lonely child. So I had to make up an imaginary friend. A lot of lonely kids do this. And so I had an imaginary friend, and one day I was going to visit him, and he moved. I see an imaginary moving van going down the street, and I'm running after it. Oh, wait, my imaginary friend, wait. He owed me money. Left town owed me money. Jeez. Well, I was brought up in a Jewish household, Reform Jewish, very, very Reform. Our rabbi was Methodist. We were very, very Reform. The name of our shul was B'nai Agogo. It was just, it was really happening 60s kind of shul. Anyway, that's most of my upbringing. I think you know I play the banjo, but when I was a kid, I think you should know that I did start out on air banjo. While other kids were playing air guitar, I was playing air banjo. But I watched a lot of TV. I really was not a, what do they call it, couch potatoes? I mean, it's only 3 channels that you know, it's hard to, get addicted to 3 channels. So I did play like a full 9-inning game of baseballs with 9 guys on the side choosing up. Until it snowed, we just played baseball, and then we ice skated and sledded, and then we waited for spring to come around, and we played baseball some more. A little basketball, a little touch football, mostly baseball. I'm so old I saw Jackie Robinson play. But anyway, on TV at that time were westerns. And people don't watch westerns anymore. I can't believe it. The wide open spaces, the horses, just wonderful stuff. And there's not like one single TV Western show on. They haven't had one on TV in decades. There were no less than 32 Westerns on every week. 32 shows, 32 Western shows on every week. And you couldn't watch them all because you want to watch the Rifleman. You want to watch the Rifleman, he's opposite, the Restless Gun or something. There's just so many Westerns, Bonanza, it could be opposite Gunsmoke. You never know. So you couldn't watch them all. And there's no on demand, except my father, he was on demand. Oh, Dad, I'm watching that. I demand you change the channel to what I want to watch, So I was the only on demand in our house. One thing I learned about watching all the Westerns, you pick up a lot if you pay attention, is I learned that everybody in the Old West always carried exact change. Yeah. They'd walk into the bar, slam that big coin down on the bar. Hey, barkeep, whiskey. And barkeep would deliver a bottle of whiskey. And, didn't have to give change, Or everybody in the Old West, and I mean cowboys, cowpokes, cavalrymen, trail hands, rustlers, desperados, deputies, bandits, banditos, bounty hunters, prospectors, gunslingers, marshals, sheriffs, town drunks, the whole plethora of people that populate the west of the Pecos Old West, they were all good tippers. You know, we might see some really despicable gunfighter like Liberty Valance, real bully, you know, a real murdering varmint, you know. But he walked into the bar, slapped his coin on the bar, and barkeep gave him a bottle of whiskey, and he didn't even have to say it. Keep the change, barkeep. You know, everybody either carried exact change or they were good tippers, and they never split up the bill. I couldn't imagine the Wild Bunch sitting at a table, you know, and the bartender comes up and says, "Okay, kid, you had the rot gut, Butch, you had the rye, Lefty, you had the rye also, and I think you also had, you know, whatever, you know." And maybe they had a sign up in the bar, no spurs, no chaps, no service. Another thing I learned about the West, I hope I'm not misinformed about this, but apparently horses are bulletproof. Yeah, because I saw just like thousands of gunfights on horseback. You know, stopping the rustlers of the Indians are attacking, and you know, chases with the posses, and there's like lead flying this way and that way, and there's cowpokes flying off their horses, you know, and everyone's getting shot, and not one horse is getting even like winged, not grazed, not a flesh wound, nothing. I guess they're all animal lovers. Are aiming high, you know. They didn't want to hurt the horse. So the only thing I could possibly understand, you can't miss. I mean, a horse is 4 times bigger than a man. I mean, makes a much bigger target. So I could just assume that horses are bulletproof. You know. I was also always wondering about the good guys where they shop for guns, because they seem to have really great potential. What they had in the Old West were 6 shooters. There's a cylinder here with 6 bullets, you know, and I would count how many shots that the good guy shot, and 6, he's just getting warmed up, you know. They had 8 shooters and 11 shooters, and you know, like they never stopped to reload. And the bad guys always had to stop to reload. So I imagine they had a special gun store, the good guy gun store, and the bad guys are always envious. Why can't I shop at the good guy gun store and get me one of them 11 shooters? And maybe they once in a while try to sneak into the good guy gun store, and they put on a white hat, you know, some white clothing, and no. Good day, my good sir. I'd like to buy an 11 shooter. Wait a minute. What's that mustache you're hiding there? And I hear that ominous music when you walk in. That's bad guy music. You're a bad guy. Get out of here, you varmint. You know, so it was kind of unfair. So, yeah, and that's what I learned about westerns. Watching them. I'm sure it's accurate history. I'm sure Hollywood wouldn't portray anything that wasn't verifiable. In movies in general, I just like, I always want to make a few comments, because I was the director of the Florida Film Institute. I work for the, and my credentials, you know, the school system of Dade County. They don't call it the Board of Education. It's called, what is it called again? Miami-Dade County School, something really generic, basic. And also the Children's Museum of Miami. I taught their film program. I taught at the public library downtown. Anyway. And the whole idea was to create a future for the film business in South Florida. Not gonna happen. No. Until the big earthquake hits California, and like the western half of California, which has Hollywood in it, just drops off into the sea. No, we haven't got a chance. I think I mentioned before that my parents lived in Hollywood, Florida, and it was named, you know, after Hollywood, California. They had one of the big movies there, but never happened. Only 2 scenes from movies were ever filmed that I'm aware of. At the end of Midnight Cowboy, Joe Buck goes into a Dunkin' Donuts, and that's like right smack dab in the center of town. It's like the heart of the town right there. And You know, so imagine if the heart of our metropolis has a Dunkin' Donut there, you know, instead of a skyscraper or something, you know. So that's like a 10-second scene. And then there's a little like memorial or Fourth of July parade or something for Martin Scorsese's remake of Cape Fear. Why did he remake it? I thought Cape Fear, the first one, was pretty darn good, I thought. You know? Why do they bother remaking it? I don't know. But they did. Why did Gus Van Sant remake Psycho? Shot for shot remake. What's the point? What's the point? Okay, anyway, just want to get two quick movie things off my chest. I never thought, I mean, I love The Godfather. Oh my gosh. Who doesn't like The Godfather? But, and this isn't a movie thing, actually. It's more of a book thing, because the movie, you know, after they drop some subplots, they basically, yeah, it's the book. It's the story. I mean, God, the guy that wrote the book, he co-wrote the screenplay, right? So, it just, you know, Solazzo never made any sense to me. If he's in bed already with the what is it, the Tatalias, you know, they're already like back in his heroin business. So he goes to Vito, you know, Vic, I need $1 million in cash, and I need all those politicians like you carry around, like so many dimes and nickels in your pocket. Now that part I could understand, because Vito was like the charming guy that had all the politicians and judges on his payroll, whereas you know, the other gangs were, I guess, too crude to think about that. So great, but why did he need $1 million? What were the Tatalias doing if they weren't backing him financially? You know, 'cause obviously they weren't providing the judges and politicians, you know. And so and then Vito says no. Michael, I never wanted this for you. And he says no, so he's going to kill Vito. Yeah, that's the way to convince him, you know. Like, what is that going to do for his business? He kills, he tries to assassinate the Godfather. I don't know. It never made any sense to me at all. I still love the movie, but anyway. And the other thing I want to get off my chest is The Wizard of Oz. Perfect movie. Almost perfect. 99.999999999% perfect. But it's a big plot hole, and nobody ever notices it. What makes Dorothy run away in the first place? They're going to get Toto. Mrs. Gulch, who turns into the witch. Little dog, too. She has a court order. She has a paper from the sheriff. They're going to destroy Toto. So Dorothy runs away from home to save Toto. Takes Toto with her, blah, blah, blah. But then the tornado comes. It's a twister. It's a twister. And you know, and she's knocked in the head, and she dreams, and she goes to Oz, and blah, blah, blah. So she comes back. She wakes up, and she knows there's no place like home. Oh, Auntie M. Oh, how does that change the court order? The laws are changing because there was a tornado? I don't think so. So that's just a little, you know, as soon as the happy music swells up and the end comes in, I think we see the lion in his crouch pose like they used to use at the end title card. But when that's over, Mrs. Gulch is still coming back for Toto. So there you go. So movies, we'll end that here, and I'll see you next time when I'll tell you another fascinating story about my true life. And until then, keep smiling.